Hey, indie filmmakers, I'm Nick Bodmer.
I'm Griffin Hammond, and today Nick and I are going to show you a bunch of new gear that we're playing with. But the first thing is a Robo Camera.
Whoa.
Gotta talk about this Robo Camera. Not that.
Dang. Look at the presets.
Yeah. So fortunately, Nick helped me set this thing up because out of the box, I didn't quite know what I was doing with this camera.
Well, they did not make it easy on you. You had to have kind of a degree in networking.
Yeah.
to even have a shot at it.
So I guess first let's even talk about what this thing is. This is the Feelworld NDI20X. This is it's a PTZ camera, a pan tilt zoom camera. Are you familiar with this category?
I mean, yeah, you see them around, right? Almost like a security camera, but I guess higher quality, right?
Yeah, and I guess primarily the reason you want them is because like over a network, they're controllable. Through control the pan, tilt, and the zoom, and so there's a few different ways to do it. I can do it over Ethernet. There's actually like software that can control it.
Yep.
And PTZ, I mean, there's a lot of PTZ cameras. I imagine there's a whole bunch of controllers out there I could buy. It even comes with a remote that you could use. I guess if I have line of sight, this must be an infrared remote. And the first time I experienced a camera like this was at the Recount, my last job. We were getting into a bunch of live streaming. They got 3 of these Panasonic PTZ cameras, and I thought, oh, these are pretty cool. But then I looked it up, the price tag on these things, and they were like $7,300 each.
And probably not the highest quality camera in the world either, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think none of these PTZ cameras are going to give you like DSLR quality, and maybe some of them out there do. They'd probably have to be more expensive than that, because even the $7,200 camera, it didn't look great, at least. I mean, it's not going to get you shallow depth of field, which if that's
right.
what you want, there's no interchangeable lenses on this camera. But I'm still not quite sure why it cost $7,300.
Because they can, probably.
Yeah. So when Feelworld, the same company that makes my HDMI switcher,
the little switcher box, yeah,
they make a bunch of monitors and cameras and stuff. They said they wanted to send me a PTZ camera, and this is their like $1,000 model.
More reasonable.
Yeah. But it's also it's an NDI camera, and I didn't know what that was, and I think I asked you first.
And I didn't know either.
Yeah.
I had to Google it, but it's out there. It's very common in kind of live broadcast world, it seems like.
Right. It seems like a standard that a bunch of cameras can use. So actually, when I first got the camera, I pulled out the manual, and actually I think they shipped the wrong manual with this thing, and so I was a little bit confused. And but then I realized I don't even need to download like Feelworld software. I can just download the NDI software. You can just download NDI Tools, and there's a viewer app, so I can actually see the video over the network, and there's a little controller built in, so I can actually, like right now I've set some presets, and I can just like jump between different things by clicking my different presets.
And you've pre-established these shots and like programmed them to them, whatever macro you're clicking. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much with the remote, I can go like, let's zoom out or zoom in. I can move it around, pan, tilt.
And is this video feed that we're watching coming in over the network?
This is actually HDMI that you're looking at, but I am simultaneously bringing this in through HDMI, and I can see it on the screen over the network.
Nice. I was gonna say, it doesn't look like there's any lag to my eye, or very, very little if there is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the benefits of NDIs. It seems like it's low latency. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at both, and I suppose maybe. Actually, I almost think the Ethernet might be faster than the HDMI. Is that possible?
Probably.
Actually, that's probably the case, because I have it going through several HDMI devices. I have it coming in to a switcher, then to a recorder, then coming into the computer through a cam link. All of those are going to introduce latency. So actually, yeah, it's funny the Ethernet's coming in faster. But I mean, it has the HDMI port. I'll clearly get better quality if I come through HDMI. But to me, the benefit of this camera is I don't think I would usually have it in the room with me. I might want to put it completely somewhere else in my house. Right. Depending on the live stream I'm doing, I could put it outside. In fact, what's exciting to me is like I have a couple extra Eero hotspots. Just
the little Wi-Fi base station things that you can
just sitting in a box not being used right now.
Network up.
But it's like anywhere I have power for the camera and power for the Eero and an Ethernet cable, I could get this thing on the network anywhere and then bring it into OBS and do like live streaming with that shot.
You need like a bird's nest to get placed in your yard or something that you can do a 24-hour live stream on.
And then I also wouldn't be able to use the remote because it'd be out of sight, but everything I could do with the remote I can also do with the software. So I can also click zoom right here in the software on my computer, and it's controlling the camera as well.
I know where I've seen these kinds of cameras. When you watch those indoor reality shows on Netflix, like we watched The Circle, which is kind of a garbage show but also very entertaining. They've got those PTZ cameras in every room because there's no like cameramen. They kind of do it all surreptitiously. I mean, not really, but out of the way. That's all. And those look pretty good. So they must make like good 4K ones for Netflix to use.
Yeah, and I mean, and those kind of shows, you don't want shallow depth of field. Like, you want everything to be in focus all the time.
Exactly.
And like,
so how would you actually, like, is this something you see using in your workflow, or is it just kind of a fun toy to kind of play with?
Definitely a fun toy first and foremost, but I do think, for a live stream, there could be a use for putting it somewhere. I mean, because it's Ethernet controlled, I like the idea that I could put it far away from this room and still have control over it. Although setting up for this podcast kind of made me realize the second use case that's pretty useful, in that because I can set these presets and I can control them over the network. The idea that instead of having to set up like 4 cameras to capture B-roll of everything, I could set up like, here's my preset to get this camera shot when I need this shot of this camera. When I need a shot of this light, I can cut to it and it's in focus. I can now go down to this camera over here. I can now go down to my microphone, show you my new Shure SM7B microphone. And then
I like how all your presets are just of your gear.
Yeah.
That's very appropriate.
And actually, I think I have this preset set to autofocus, which is kind of misfiring right now. It looks like it's getting the background. So I think if I hit manual on the remote and adjust the focus here, I'm going the wrong way. I think I could focus it on myself. Oh, I passed myself again. Maybe it's hard to nail it.
One more there, right there.
I feel like I'm focusing on the background just as much as me, but that's close enough. So right now I'll click store and 2, and now I got that preset locked in.
Whew. Thank goodness. You got a new microphone. That's news. We'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about the microphone in a little bit because I want to finish talking through. I kind of blew past like, here's how it works now, but it took me it took me half an hour to figure this out with your help over the network. Like, the idea is that this thing has an Ethernet port on the back and you could plug it into your network, and I was like, then I should be able to see it, but it was a lot more complicated than that.
It did not have sensible defaults set out of the box for you, unfortunately. Maybe for some, no matter what, the way it was set up out of the box, you had to know a little bit about networking and IP addresses in order to get it set up. So,
well, and I told you they
sent me the wrong... Do you even know what we did to fix it?
I'm not sure.
That's okay. That's good.
I mean, I know we messed with a bunch of network settings. Yeah, they sent me the wrong manual, and then when I found the right one online, even the right manual only had Windows-specific tutorial for how to set up the network. You at least have enough experience that you could see what they were doing on the Windows side and translate that for me to the Mac.
Yes.
Or did you even need the manual, or did you just know exactly what you needed to do?
I needed to know what that default IP address was that they had set, and once I saw that, I could interpolate everything from that, basically, what we needed to do. So that was the key, is knowing what its IP address was out of the box.
The confusing part to me was that, like, you could, with the remote and over HDMI, you could go into the menu settings for this camera and look at some of what looked like network settings, but they weren't Really? I don't know. They weren't.
They weren't. And once I saw them, I was like, well, that's not Ethernet network settings. I don't know what.
Yeah, it wasn't like an IP address. It was just like,
or something.
Would you like to choose network 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
And then we realized there is. Well, I guess I still don't remember how we figured out what the IP address of the camera was, because we needed the IP address.
It was in the manual.
It was in the manual. Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Once you have the IP address, you can log into the camera through a web browser.
Except you had to know you had to set an IP address on your computer in the same range as that, so that they could even talk to each other.
Right.
And that was the key. We had to give you an IP address on that subnet.
Yeah.
So
first we had to identify the IP address of the camera. Then we had to let my computer talk to the camera, which inherently dropped me off of the internet, right?
Yes and no. Yes, it did for you. It wouldn't always necessarily, but in this case it did, yeah.
I pretty much joined a network that was only on with the camera, or I don't know. And then we could connect to the IP address of the camera through a web browser, plug in the default username and password, and then you're in a dashboard, which I'm still using today to control this camera. You could set white balance in there and exposure in there. You could set different bit rate settings and stuff. But the main thing we needed to do is we wanted to change the IP address to one that was like more compatible with my network, right?
That's right. Well, what we did is we turned on DHCP.
Yeah.
Which is a service that says, I'm not going to tell you what IP address to have. You're going to get on the network and ask the Eero, your router, what IP address and what settings should I use.
Yeah.
And so it does it automatically, which makes life easy.
Yeah. So we gave it a
but
nice...
you got to know all about that stuff to even have a fighting chance. So.
And then once we did that, everything just worked. It was like, now I plug it into any computer on my network and I can use the NDI Tools software. In fact, I find I could use it on multiple machines at once. It could be seeing the feed on all machines.
That's awesome. So it's a cool thing. It's definitely a cool technology.
Yeah. Now I just need to figure out exactly where and when to use it.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is the jumping around, I think.
It looks really cool. No doubt about it. Well, you can imagine, like, if you were doing live broadcasts of events as like a one-man band, how handy something like that would be, right? Like if you were, I don't know, a church service or a concert or something, and they're like, we want to live stream this, like a couple of these, as opposed to getting camera guys who know what they're doing and figuring out communication and all that.
Yeah. I mean, personally, because I like Lumix stuff and I like the Lumix software for controlling cameras, I would love to have some of those BGH1 box cameras on a network. But then they don't have any pan tilt zoom control.
Right.
So then you're probably adding another, I don't know, there's probably $1,000 or $2,000 device that can be, that could turn a camera into a PTZ camera.
But the quality would be great.
Yeah. And what's cool about this camera and the BGH1 is they're both power over Ethernet. So I could eliminate I could eliminate the power cable on this thing and just plug it in with one Ethernet cable if I had my power over Ethernet switch. I actually returned, you had me get a power over Ethernet switch back when I was playing around with the Lumix BGH1, and a couple months later or a month later, I realized if I don't have that camera anymore, there's really no reason for me to have a power over Ethernet switch right now. But it was only $50.
You should have sent it to me. I just had to buy another one myself.
Yeah. I almost got another one, and then I was like, wait, I'm going to buy a switch just so that I could put it next to this camera and plug it into the wall. Why not use its
power cord?
When it has a power cord that it came with. Yeah, I mean, this would make more sense if my whole network infrastructure in my house was power over Ethernet.
Which is what I did in my new house, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. It has Ethernet jacks in every wall, so I put a power over an Ethernet switch in the main area, so every port on the wall has power, basically. So I have my wireless access points, and they just plug in with the Ethernet cable, and that powers them up, and they come right online. So that's cool.
Well, because I was kind of curious, if my Eeros would have that, and they don't. So, do you run into a problem like that anywhere on your network where, sure, you have power over Ethernet from your main switch to your wall, but then, once you plug in, a wireless hotspot, you couldn't plug in something else to that wireless hotspot and get PoE, or...
Yeah, but that just hasn't been an issue with everything I'm doing. Really, the only things I need to power are those access points, and they do it. And then, if I did security cameras or something like that, it'd be nice because I could get cameras that are power over Ethernet that could plug right into the wall. But I haven't had to do that yet.
Yeah.
Well, should we thank our sponsor today?
Yes, but Nick, I need your help choosing which song we should play for the ad read. So here's option number 1. This is called Funky Delicious. And this one is Consciousness.
Very soothing.
And this one's called Experience. So what do you like? What do you want for an ad?
It's got to be Funky Delicious, I think.
Okay, we'll go back to Funky Delicious. All right, so I bet you can guess where I've gotten all these tracks from.
They sound so unique and awesome. It must be Jambox.
Yeah, I added all these to a playlist in Jambox as I was sifting through stuff for different projects. These were all ones I set aside. It's like, I like these tracks. I could use them for something.
This has kind of like that 70s funk style that you kind of like.
Yeah. Although I feel like what I usually end up using for the kinds of pieces I'm doing, especially corporate stuff, is I end up with these kind of pieces, like this one, Consciousness.
Sure.
I like...
But you can't dance to it.
Yeah, no. All right, we'll go back to Funky Delicious.
Thank you. As a Handy Filmmakers listener, you can save 15% off any Jambox subscription using promo code HEY15. So just go to jambox.io and you can start browsing and listening to music for free. You can actually even download watermarked tracks and try them out in your piece. And when you subscribe, Hey15 gets you 15% off. So thank you, Jambox.
We went the entire first half of this episode without acknowledging that you are in a completely different place.
Here I am. This is the new office. Yeah, so in the intervening months since we've last recorded, I moved successfully. The office is definitely still a work in progress, so please give me some feedback. I think the lighting actually looks halfway decent. I was a little worried how it was going to turn out, but I did switch to that Elgato key light we talked about.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. We'll see when the video comes out how it looks, to be honest, because I'm just looking at it on a little screen right now. So you'll tell me if it's a little too harsh or what. But
it's just one, right? That's what it looks like.
Yep, one Elgato key light here. I've got the Sony camera on one of the Elgato arms.
They have
it's a table clamp that goes straight up. Yeah, exactly. And
so
it's
pretty much
way
the same.
nicer.
Is that the same thing that's holding the light? You can pretty much buy another one for your camera.
It's just a smaller version, basically. Yeah. And I love, because before I used to have tripods on my desk, and then like this really janky tripod to crazy arm mount thing, and this is just way simpler, and it looks way cleaner in my office, which I like.
I have my little Peak Design travel tripod on my desk right now, and I like it, but it takes up much more space than necessary, so that it does seem like a nicer solution.
And then in the background here, you probably can't tell, but I just have like a color changing bulb in just like a standard lamp that's throwing a little color on the wall there. And then I have actually my office lights are pretty nice LED, and they're nice and warm. And the green wall behind me, I don't know if you can tell if it's green or not, but
I didn't notice.
I had the wall painted green, just like one wall. So yeah,
I thought it was like blue.
It is a very dark green. It's called studio green.
Yeah.
This is my studio.
And does it look blue because of the lights you have?
Probably because the blue light I'm shining on that side of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you might be able to tell green to blue, but it's all green. So yeah, I need some feedback. I think some practicals or, some like raw bulbs in the background. Like maybe if I put some shelves up over here with some like Edison bulbs in them or something, that might look nice. I don't know. It probably needs a little something, but any suggestions?
And the main thing we talked about in the last episode that you promised us would not go away, but I didn't see it, is the Baby Yoda.
Oh God. I didn't know where he was. He was in a box, but right there.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh no! Now I blocked. He needs to be over here. All right, Baby Yoda's in the shot. Well, actually, you cropped my shot, so maybe Baby Yoda won't be in the shot.
Yeah,
but.
no, I'll go full screen and people can see it.
Nice.
Now that I'm really
right.
pixel peeping your shot, I can see that how the wall looks blue because of the light, and then it's like kind of greenish, brownish, dark in the other corner.
Yeah, so I don't know if that looks good or not with the blue light. I might cut that out. I'm not sure. But
and then the
plenty
stand,
of time to adjust.
The Elgato stand that's holding your camera. What does it have? Like a little ball head at the top or something?
I have my own. It has a tripod thread, which I've put a ball head on. So
I got a similar solution. I probably should just get something like that Elgato arm for my camera. Although I've always thought it would just be cool to like have an arm like attached to the wall or something. Although I probably won't do that. But I did end up getting an arm for my microphone because I figured it was always pretty annoying to move that little stand around. And so I got this blue, it's made by that company Blue, the microphone company. And it's the same as all those little articulating arms, but it's like enclosed.
Yeah.
And then I put a different microphone on it. I decided to switch from our Blue Baby bottle to the Shure SM7B just because I've been using it so much at work recently, and I love the sound of it, and it's a little bit more isolating. I've had a lot of like construction noise and lawnmower noise recently, and it just seems like...
Well, I wonder if I should switch. You're getting me excited. Is it, does it require phantom power, 48 volts?
It does.
Okay.
And it's also a pretty, it's quieter. It kind of can be a quiet mic. So it seems like you have to turn it all the way up on some devices.
So you need a nice preamp. What you're saying.
And there's a device that a lot of people swear by, and I decided to get one too, called the Cloudlifter. It's just called the Cloudlifter CL-1, and I have no idea how this thing works because I don't. Maybe you know how this works from your audio.
I'm not familiar with it. I'm looking it up right now.
Like, there's no power. It doesn't plug into the wall or anything. It just, you plug in the mic on one side through XLR, and then there's an XLR coming out the other side, and that's what is going into my audio interface. And it probably raises the volume by 50% or 30-40%, and sounds great.
Plus 25 dB, it says.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I even put a little mark on my... So I'm using the Wave XLR, the Elgato Wave XLR audio interface. It's just a USB-C audio interface. And I put a little arrow next to the gain dial for SM7B, and then I put a different arrow for CL1 when I added the Cloudlifter. So I can see visually, just a reminder of where to turn the knob to, but also I can see visually that it does make quite the dramatic difference.
Nice.
But both of these devices, I didn't really want to pay full price for them because, I mean, I think it's a $400 microphone or $380.
Do you ever want to pay full price for anything? Does anyone?
Well, and I get a creator discount with B&H, and I have the Paybu credit card, so I don't have to pay tax. So like potentially B&H is the best place for me to buy things. But I thought both these devices, like, there's probably used ones that are barely touched, and sure enough, on eBay I found, like, I mean, this mic looks like it's in pristine condition, but I bought it for like half price. Same with the Cloudlifter. I think I got like $80 off on the Cloudlifter.
Now I'm looking on eBay.
Trying to be a little bit more frugal now that I'm working for myself again.
Yeah. don't have quite the big budget behind your gear purchases anymore?
Yeah. When it's a corporation or a big news organization buying a $400 microphone, it's not a huge deal. For Griffin Hammond, I'd like to get it for $275, please.
Well, I'm interested to hear what it sounds like, but I know this microphone. It's a great microphone.
Well, and it's the microphone that all podcasters and live streamers
and
use.
Radio and everybody uses.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm doing it right and set my levels appropriately today.
So yeah, we haven't really had a chance to talk about your departure from the recount and the focus now back on freelancing. Is that right?
Yeah. We also haven't talked about the fact that I wear eyeglasses now.
Welcome to the club, my friend.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is you posted in one of our little chats a picture of you with the glasses. And in my head, I was like, oh, Griffin got different glasses. Like, it didn't, like, register in my brain that you never wore glasses before until I saw, like, what everybody was saying. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess he didn't wear glasses. They look pretty natural on you, I'd say.
Yeah, and I the first day that I wore them, like, in my office in New York when I was still working at the Recount, I think it took, like, 3 hours for someone to say something. And, you know, it was like one person noticed and, like, the other 10 people I interacted with didn't say anything. I mean, so yeah, they probably didn't notice, or it's like, to me, they're very novel and interesting, but you know, everyone wears glasses and it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. And is this to help you see things that are far away?
It's kind of everything. They do make a difference. I think it's kind of, to me, I think it's kind of the difference between like 4K and 8K. Like when you're really looking, you can see it.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't, I can operate without them. The main reason I got them was my eye doctor said it would improve my night driving, which is right. I was renting a lot of cars to go back and forth to New York. And
yeah,
I was leaving early in the morning. Like I was getting on like a 6 a.m. flight. So I'd be out the door at like 4 a.m. or something in this rental car to go to the airport. And sometimes it'd be raining, or it wasn't even always the rain, but it was like, I would see like a glare on the windshield and I'd be like running the windshield wipers trying to get rid of this glare. And I just thought, oh, these are like dirty windshields from rental cars. Not realizing it's entirely my eyes creating this glare. I have like an astigmatism that's causing the like flaring or something.
So do you wear them all the time now, or just kind of in these key situations?
I mostly just wear them when I'm driving in the dark. I wear them, I've started wearing them like if I go to a bar at night or something, you know, or like if I go to have dinner with my in-laws. I don't know. I like putting them on to like look fancier.
You're dressing up with them.
Yeah, I dress up with them. So I'm wearing them for you.
I've been wearing them for 20 some years now.
Yeah.
I think. Ugh. It's a long time. I'm actually going to the eye doctor on Thursday just to, you know, update the prescription, get a look-see. Everyone should get their eyes checked once a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Well, and I also like got in right before before I left my job and didn't have their health insurance anymore.
Vision insurance?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've left the Recount. We're doing more freelancing. Does that mean we can expect more Griffin Hammond YouTube videos coming out?
Yes. We won't have to wait as long for podcast episodes, hopefully. I will not sit on them for months while I'm traveling back and forth and get those edits done. In fact, this one I'm hoping to have it out let's cross our fingers and it'll be like a week from now when I actually put it out.
Oh boy, you're setting yourself up for failure, but okay.
But I have the time now.
We won't tell anybody what the date is today,
right,
so
yeah.
no one
knows.
Can say you are wrong. Yeah.
And then
I
I'd like to jump back into more live streaming. One thing I really want to do coming up soon is I just got a smart controller for my drone, which has HDMI out so that I can live stream the drone more easily.
Dang, that's awesome.
I realized the DJI drone has RTMP in it.
Broadcasting.
So
yeah.
I could broadcast the same way that we've figured out how to like broadcast other cameras and stuff. In fact, this Feelworld NDI camera, I think it has RTMP out too. I could broadcast it that way into OBS. I could do the same with the drone, but it just seems a lot simpler to plug it in through HDMI. So. Oh
yeah, and probably lower latency too would be my guess.
Yeah, we'll see. So when we were playing with RTMP, it was pretty.
There was noticeable, like a couple seconds. I feel like a lot of lag.
So I'd like to do a live stream from the drone.
Yeah, definitely.
So that'll be fun. Yeah,
I think we should do some. I want to get on. I want to be a guest on one of your streams. I think we should play some video games together.
Oh yeah,
I liked watching you play Ghost of Tsushima. I believe was the game you were streaming.
Oh yeah.
I've since purchased that game. I've been playing it. I'm not done yet, but I am working through it. So
yeah. I wonder if we can stream the Legends mode. Like I know it's multiplayer.
Oh, the multiplayer. Yeah.
But I don't know if you can like pair up with your friends. Surely you can. I don't know.
You would think, but we'll find out. What do you guys want to see us play? Let us know in the comments.
Also, I think maybe our next episode of this podcast, I want to talk to you because you are always asking me about like memberships, like Patreon kind of thing, or there's a whole bunch of like paid membership platforms now.
Yeah.
And you're always like, why don't you do this? And
I just give you little pokes. I want to make sure you're thinking about it,
Yeah. And I think it probably is time for me to like dip my toe. I don't want to charge like huge tiers, but it would make sense to dip my toe into probably the most accessible platform would be YouTube itself has paid memberships, and their lowest price one is 99 cents. And so it might be fun to start playing with that lowest tier and seeing what I can offer as an extra.
I have all kinds of thoughts about that, so we'll definitely talk about that next time.
Yeah.
Sweet. What else? Anything else cool?
What else? What other new equipment do I have? Anything else?
Oh, I got a Apple Studio display.
Oh yeah, me too.
Which is awesome. Like, I am in love with this screen. It just makes my whole setup so much. So it's 5K, so it's Retina, which I didn't have on my desktop setup before. But then, like, the speakers in it are good enough that I don't need other speakers for my computer. I use headphones if I need, like, if I'm editing or something. But just for, like, watching YouTube videos and listening to music, the speakers are great. It's got the built-in camera, which does not look good, but it looks good enough for, Zoom meetings and stuff. It's got the built-in microphone. It's so simple. I just plug one cable into my laptop when I sit down. All of it connects. So big thumbs up from me for the Apple Studio display.
Yeah, and we have the same finish, right? Did we both get the matte finish?
I did not get the nano texture.
Or sorry, I'm confusing them. Yeah, not the nano. I got the nano, didn't like it.
The glossy.
Yeah, we do have the glossy, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think looks great. And then
I got the height adjustable, though. I don't think you did. Is that
right?
I
got the plain stand. So I actually have mine sitting on top of the Mac Studio itself. And then I have underneath the Mac Studio is another riser. So I have my monitor is a good, like, I don't know, 6-7 inches above the desk.
The reviews read that it's pretty low for a standard desk height. And so I just bit the bullet and paid the extra for the height adjustable, which I like. And the mechanism is super smooth. It's really easy. I'm doing it right now to move it up and down. It like locks in perfectly where you put it. So
well, and you remember I was very confused when I first started using the Studio Display because I also wanted it because it has decent speakers, and I just didn't want to have to buy speakers.
I remember this.
and I was playing around with it, and I was like, I don't know, Nick. The audio is really bad on this. On this Studio Display, and
I was like, well, it wasn't going to blow anybody away, but it should be like better than laptop speakers is basically what my expectations were, but I hadn't heard it myself yet, so I was willing to take your assessment that the speakers were garbage.
Well, and I'm looking in the sound settings now of the computer, and this is where my confusion was. It's because Apple names everything the same. The Studio Display speakers are the speakers on the Studio Display, which is the monitor.
Right.
And
that's what you want.
The Mac Studio is the computer.
And it has like a little built-in speaker or something inside the computer.
And it's terrible. I mean, it's like they only put it there so it could do that like ding startup sound.
Startup chime, yeah.
But it can play other stuff. It just sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like a
super muffled.
It's horrible. But yeah, it's called Mac Studio speakers, which I just assumed. I guess I kind of forgot that I had two devices, like
right.
A unified.
Well, I'm glad you
Apple
figured
experience.
it out and didn't just be like, well, they suck, never using them again,
Well, and this is a problem I need to solve, and maybe the solution is my Elgato. What's the device where you can push all the buttons?
The Stream Deck?
Yeah, the Stream Deck. I could probably use my Stream Deck to solve this problem. Because right now, the problem I'm having on the Mac Studio is when I click on my sound settings, I just have way too many output options. Because there's the Mac Studio speakers, which I wish I could just like delete it. Like, I'm never going to want to use that. Maybe there's a way for me to hide some of these, but I can't figure that out. So I have the Mac Studio speakers. I have my Elgato Wave XLR device, which is actually a pretty good way for me to plug in headphones because it has the dial right there. I can control the volume. It's hard to reach the headphone jack on the back of the Mac Studio. So I like using that as a device. And then I have all these virtual devices that I've created through Loopback for live streaming, but there's like 4 of those showing up in here. Then I have my studio display speakers. Right now I have my AirPods. Then I have 2 like AirPlay devices on the network, like 2 different speakers in the house. So I'm looking at like 10 things here, and it's just too many to like.
Yeah, I think what you're going to want to start looking at is this new app called Shortcuts on the Mac. Are you familiar with this at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an automation tool for the Mac, and I think it should give you the ability to basically build scenes that you can. So a shortcut that will set up the audio exactly like you want for live streaming or for podcasting or for editing or whatever it is, and then you can assign, a button on your Stream Deck to that shortcut. So you just push a button and it'll go and change everything around for you. You can start apps, So a lot of cool stuff there. I've been meaning to play with shortcuts more, and I haven't had time, but that's one of the things I want to do. So maybe we'll figure that out together.
Well, and that's good to know, because I think if I hadn't known about that, I probably would have tried to do Stream Deck, and if Stream Deck couldn't just reach the sound preferences on its own as like an app, which I don't know if it can, I probably would have ended up setting up some really weird like keystroke recording. Like first you got to open up sound preferences and then click down. So yeah, it sounds like I should use shortcuts with Stream Deck instead.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the way to go. So maybe we'll play with that on another stream, or you could just make a YouTube video about it.
Yeah, I mean, and the other way to solve this, I've kind of done this at my previous job. I would use loopback, but now I'm using loopback so much for streaming, it's almost too confusing. Now I have like a million loopback scenes. But you could create a scene in loopback essentially with like multiple monitors that can each be toggled on and off. So like I could just always have my audio output in my system preferences set to like loopback output, and then within that application I could click on monitors as I need them. Like I want to be hearing through the speakers right now, or I want to be hearing through the Wave XLR. But even that's kind of not particularly elegant, because you have to click everything on and off. Yeah,
but I don't know about loopback, but at least Audio Hijack, which we use for audio recording, which is I believe the same company, Rogue Amoeba. I think I read that in the latest version they added all kinds of shortcuts ability to Audio Hijack for automation. So I wonder if they've done the same with loopback. It wouldn't surprise me that they've done that. So another thing to look into.
Well, yeah, I'm in Audio Hijack right now recording this audio, and clicked over to scripting where it says you can create new automations. So yeah, who knows?
All kinds of fun stuff. Well, it's a pleasure to be back with you. Yeah. I really do want comments on how the lighting looks, and maybe what changes you'd make in the background here to make it a little prettier. Yeah.
Well,
That's all I got.
You mentioned, I think, off camera before we started, that you wondered if you should put something on the TV behind you, because that TV's not going anywhere, right?
No, that's wall mounted right there, baby.
Yeah.
You get the Hey Indie Filmmakers logo on there or something? I don't know.
I think I created, like, this was like 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember, when I was back on Indie Mogul for a little bit. I just created like a big yellow screen with like a little Indie Mogul logo in the middle, just to put on my iMac that was in the shot. Yeah, you could do something like that.
Sure.
I imagine you probably don't want to go like full white or full black, some color in the middle so it doesn't get overexposed.
Well, it's full black right now because it's off.
Yeah.
So maybe that's distracting. I don't know. But it's there because that's where I play video games. So,
yeah.
Priorities.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye. That was a nice one.
Yeah.
Felt good. Felt good to be back. Because it's been, what, like 5 months since we've recorded, I think? Does that sound right?
May, June, July, August, 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.